What's up, y'all? I'm PC McCray. You can call me P.
Hey, y'all. My name is Shaun the Head. You can call me Shaun the Head. And this is the Everything Has Changed podcast.
From 2 college roommates to 40-something adults, life has been lifing, and we want to talk about it.
We are the new adults, y'all.
How did that happen?
I don't know, P, but we got to talk about it.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go. P. Hey.
What up, Shaun? Hey, girl. How goes it?
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing well, blessed and favored and grateful. I have a spirit of gratitude.
You're good about having the spirit of gratitude.
I have to hone in on it. When things get overwhelming and I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful. Be grateful.
You're my inspiration.
Where you are.
You're my gratitude inspiration is what it is.
I'll gladly share. We can get there together. It's a challenge now. Please believe. There's some days where it's like, you know what? I don't.
You know what? Fuck this shit.
For real. It's like, all right. Enough.
Oh, wait. No, that's me. Sorry. That's me.
That's you. But see, we learn from each other. It's about balance.
You need a little bit of that too. A little seasoning.
Yeah, it comes out.
Extra spicy.
You know. So we want to talk about, I guess, our childhood into adulthood. We lost one that when it popped up, I was like, yo, it just took me through so many thoughts and emotions. We lost Ananda Lewis the last week. BET Teen Summit host. That's where I was introduced to her. And then on to MTV, VJ, and just everywhere. Baddie. Before the word baddie was.
Yeah.
She just was beautiful and cool. Graduate of Howard. She just felt like we knew her and we grew up with her. And she passed away from breast cancer on June 11th. And so Shaun and I want to talk about that.
Because are you aware of Ananda's story surrounding the whole diagnosis and how she, I guess it's been a lot of talk about how she chose to live her life throughout the diagnosis and the treatments that she turned down and all these things is what's become a big talking point after her death. And so I don't know. I thought maybe we talk about it because it's very interesting and I don't know. I feel like I see a little bit of both sides. When you first heard the news, P, how did you feel?
Her initial story or when she passed?
When she passed.
Like I said, I felt I was hurt. It really hurt me. It really affected me because it just felt like I said, all the things before, felt like I knew her. And while we'll get into it, her choices and decisions with treatment, she recently came out, I want to say the last year or two, and stated that she regretted those decisions and that she wishes she made better choices in the beginning before it got to this point. She ended up being stage 4. But I think about it, what was crazy is I had my appointment with my breast doctor on Tuesday. And she passed Wednesday. And I have what they call very, very dense breast. And due to my family history, the density of my breast, I have to have a mammogram, ultrasound, and MRI. So they can really get in there and see everything. And I told my doctor, whatever you tell me to do, whatever, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do all kinds of, we're going to scan, as much as we can, and prayerfully if they have to find something, she jumps on it. I've had breast biopsies where they thought they saw certain things, and I do it. Um, and there's a conversation because of my high risk and all of the things I just mentioned. She says a preventative measure for me may be this drug called, let me make sure I get it right, tamoxifen.
I've heard of that.
So she did this. I mean, my first appointment with her was amazing. We had an hour-long appointment where she really broke down like my age, my family history, which is my grandmother had breast cancer, my mother had breast cancer, her sisters, great aunts. So it's there. It's in there. And gave me this calculation and essentially a chart. And I have a 45% chance in my lifetime that I would develop breast cancer.
Is that the BRCA test?
Well, no, the BRCA test is a separate blood test. And my mom, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, she found it early. So she was stage 0, they would say. She paid for, and you have to pay for it. It's extra.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay for the test because she wanted to make sure that she did not carry that gene. So I'm clear of that BRCA gene.
Okay.
But what she was able to calculate in this program, it was amazing. I'd never seen anything. 45% in my lifetime, 8% chance in the next 10 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
With this medicine at a low dose, it may cut that in half. So from 8 to 4 and 45. But then there's that chance that I may not get it at all.
Right.
But you have to think about my anti-rejection medications. Some of the side effects are cancer. So it's a lot that's stacked, which puts me in the very high risk. So I understand what you mean with like, I get when you have to really consider this drug has side effects, of course. So it's like, yo, could I take it? And then, but what if nothing happens at all?
Right.
But here are these numbers.
45 is less. I'm like, well, that's less than half. That's less than 50.
By 5.
Yeah, but I'm like, I feel like a lot of Black women have the case where, I don't know if it's dense breasts. It's either like, okay, you have dense breasts, or if you have fibroids, then you're more apt to have the tissue in your breast is more apt to be of a different kind of, I was about to say a different flavor. That doesn't even
flavor of boob.
Yeah, but if you have fibroids, then the tissue in your breast is most likely more fibrous. I think that's the word. And so a lot of Black women have the experience of, you don't just go in for a mammogram. You're going to have to do 2 or 3. Like most of the people that I know who are getting mammograms have to at least do mammogram and ultrasound, which is what I have to do. I've been getting mammograms since I turned 32 because mommy died of breast cancer. So that I was in there. They they put me right on in there. And now I find out that mammograms are not even covered every year anymore, or it's something. No, it's that pap smear. It's the pap smear that's not every year. It's like every 2 or 3 years, but something to do with the mammogram. Now, for me, because of my history, that doesn't affect me. Right. But I remember them saying that the mammograms and preventative screenings like that are not, like, they're not going to cover it. Insurance isn't going to cover it every year for everybody the way that they used to. And I'm like, what the?
Which
like,
is
we're
crazy.
getting more and more data and research that tells us, we're getting more and more data and research that tells us what's up. And y'all's answer is to to let people get less preventative screenings for free. Like, that seems like we're going backwards, but okay. But in my, for me specifically, mine are still covered yearly because of my history, and yeah, I always have to go in twice. But what's cool is, well, at least when I started getting mammograms, I could get it all done in the same day, where I know a lot of places you get the first mammogram and they tell you to go home, and then they call you back if they want to take a look again. It's like, well, you already know you gotta have to take a second look. What are we doing?
What are we
And so,
doing?
right. And so, the hospital that I was going to, they would just be like, okay, go sit down for 10 minutes and we'll tell you if we need you to go over to the ultrasound room, which they always would. But then I learned that every place didn't like that. And I'm like, why? Why are you guys making it harder? It makes no sense. But mommy had fibrous breasts to the point where she would tell me that her mammograms hurt. Well, stop. Mammograms are not pleasant and they do hurt. I think for a lot of people, probably just depends on your pain tolerance. But for mommy, it was so painful that she stopped getting mammograms because she was having to do all the extra things. Ooh. And it was painful for her and nothing was coming up. So she didn't get a mammogram for 3 years. And that's when the cancer came. She skipped 3 mammograms, 3 years. And she ended up getting another mammogram because she had a lung infection. And so her primary care doctor, just to make sure it was all cleared up, because she had to get the extra, the medication, the real medication to clear that thing up. She had antibiotics and then she had some pain medication for her lungs. And so then she went in to get a test just for them to see her lungs. And they ended up seeing that she had a tumor in her breast. And so it happened over that 3-year period, which she stopped just because of how painful it was. And she kept having to do all this extra stuff. And it was never anything. And so the primary care doctor is the one who caught her tumor because of that, and then sent her over to the breast specialist and went from there. And by the time it was biopsied and everything, she was already stage 4. So don't skip your mammograms. I don't care how much it hurts. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I don't know if it's okay if you can take I don't know if they let you take some Advil or something before you go in there. I can't remember the rules and regulations, but if you got to take something before you go in there and it's okay, take it. Just don't skip. Well, it's crazy because one of the things that Ananda was against, at least initially, was mammogram. So I'm up here saying, don't skip your mammogram. If you skip mammograms because of the pain level, I'm sorry. Going back in there. Just use my mom as an example. Now, if you skip it for other stuff, okay. But if you skip it because of pain, then yeah, going back up in there, sister girl. Because she skipped 3 years. And then so by the time they saw the tumor, it was stage 4. So she was already, past. What they don't tell you, or at least what I didn't know, I'll say that, because when she got biopsied and they figured out all the things, I felt like they wasn't telling us, because I was going to appointments with her. I felt like they weren't telling us stages, and that's all I ever heard was stages. So I'm like, what are you saying? What is the stage here? Okay, like I haven't heard you say the word stage, right? That's what I want to know. And that's when they said it was stage 4, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, can you come on, give us something? I didn't ever hear them give a timeline, which I know some doctors like to do. So it may be a personal preference for the doctor, and maybe some of them might have different theories about how that affects the psyche of the patient or whatever. I don't recall them ever giving her a timeline. She just said stage 4, at least with breast cancer, and because they're different. There are also different kinds of cancer, different kinds of breast cancer. Right. So different types of tumors that you can have. So the tumor that mommy had at stage 4, she said she's going to live the rest of her life with cancer. Like that it's not going away. It's not going away. She's going to have it for the rest of her. She's going to live the rest of her life with cancer. So there you go. Well, when she died is when everybody, all the doctors and stuff were like, oh, she made it so long. I'm like, wait, what? Because you didn't never tell. Mommy made it 4 years past diagnosis. Apparently, they didn't expect her to make it past 1 year. And she made it 4. But didn't nobody say that. I didn't know that until she passed. And then I had to talk to everybody. And man, they outright were like, it was her spirit is what kept her going. Mommy would, when she had radiation, she had affirmations. I don't got them next to me now. I used to keep them over here at my desk. But I got one of them on my arm.
I'm seeing.
So I got
She's
one of my
showing me
mom's
a tattoo.
Yeah, it's my mom's handwriting because it comes off one of her pink cards. She had these little pink index cards from work. And so when she started doing radiation, she put, it was probably like 7 to 10 affirmations on the pink cards. So when she would go into radiation, it would take like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. She would just busy her mind with repeating her affirmations to the point where she didn't need her pink cards anymore. And then whenever the doctors would come in, like, Mommy was just that girl. She's like, yeah, if I'm feeling upset, I'm going to feel the things. But she's like, just because I'm in here in this cancer doctor's office, I'm not just sitting in here, like I'm a talk to the reception. She had relationships with everybody. And they would talk about TV and movies, and she was just a light in there. And after she passed, the whole office was like, that lady and her personality and her spirit, like, yeah, she's a fighter, but the doctor literally told me, like, she was a fighter through her personality and stuff. Like, she was out here trying to live life, and the doctor wholeheartedly believes that's what led to her lasting 3 years later. So, sidebar, whenever people tell me that stuff like affirmations and stuff don't work, and positive thinking and the power of your subconscious mind, you a lie. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can only tell you about my experience watching my mother battle cancer and having her doctor tell me, because when I went and had a conversation with her once she passed, and I let the whole office know, because she wasn't necessarily in their care when she passed at the hospital. It was like really quick. And honestly, she wasn't super sick until the very end, which is not a lot of people's stories. The chemo did take away her taste buds, so she couldn't eat the stuff she wanted to eat because it tasted like nastiness in her mouth. That was upsetting. And she did end up having lymphedema from the chemotherapy. On her left side, and she was left-handed, and she always had beautiful, beautiful handwriting, which you could see from my tattoo. Yeah. But she didn't have that once the lymphedema set in. She was practicing even just signing her name and stuff like that because her handwriting it got pretty bad. So anyway, a lot of things happened to her, but she didn't get like super, super, super sick until literally her last week of life. And so her doctor was like, she said, I ain't never seen nothing like it. I ain't never seen no patient like her, and she said she would be uplifting me just from the way that she was living through this. So when people say to me that the neuroscience is all crap, and sorry, I watched a woman extend her life for 3 years past. Yeah. We got 3 extra years with her just because of the way she psyched her brain out. Hey friends, we're so thankful for your support. If you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode or when we drop some of the special things we've got coming, head on over to everythinghaschangedpodcast.com and drop us your email so you can stay locked in. Cool? Cool. There's this book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. It's so good. There are a lot of books out there if you want to look into them. Personal development books, I guess they're called, just about how your brain intakes information and how things it really is less about positivity and more about it. Once you know how the brain works, you can psych your brain out. But it ain't easy. And so because it's not easy, people are like, oh, it doesn't work or that. That's bullshit. It actually, it's science. It's neuroscience. But it's just that it's very, very hard. But if you're telling me it doesn't work, I literally watch. I don't know what's harder. Like, you either living is black and white, like you living or you're dead. And she changed the clock. She changed the clock. So I'm just a person that you can't talk to me about how that stuff doesn't work, because I watched somebody change the clock on y'all ass with that. But if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff and the science behind it, not just saying, oh, think this or think that or say this in the mirror like being Mary Jane. Sidebar, Pete, I felt bad because the other episode when we talk about Mara Brocker killing her shows, and we left out being Mary Jane, and I felt bad about that because like, how did I miss that? But remember, being Mary Jane, because she was a black woman, right, of a certain age, and she had all those Post-its on her mirror. That was like the first time we saw that on TV. Because, people do that, right? And that's another one of those things of the more relatable you are, the more you doing things that people can see in their specific lives, the more they tune in and get attached. So, the Post-its are one thing. But if you're interested in learning why that kind of stuff works, a great book is The Power of the Subconscious Mind. They literally go through how it's talked about in the Bible. They go through how neuroscience talks about it. They go through like how Buddha like they hit it from every single angle to show you why it really is a thing. So that's the way Mommy handled it. She wasn't down in the dumps about how, she was very clear about how she got there from skipping those 3 mammograms. But once we talked about that, she really ain't bring it up again. Like, that was not on her mind.
Like, here we are.
I can't believe I did the exact. It's like, this is the life that is yours. Mm-hmm. And I think if she had gone down that road, then it may not have. She may not have turned the clock like that, because she would have just been sitting over there, upset about how we got here, right? Mm-hmm. But that's life. We all gonna have some way that we got somewhere. And so I kind of, when I think about Ananda, what I really noticed is that she wasn't really woe is me once she got there. In fact, she used her situation to educate others. Mm-hmm. Right.
And that was the beautiful part of it. And once it happened and she was diagnosed in 2020 and realizing all the things that she missed, that's why she came out and told that she was an advocate. She was like, don't be like me, go. And even though she tried alternative therapies, it says she did changing your diet, a detox regimen, high doses of vitamin C through IV, a hyperbaric chamber, energy work, prayer, all of those things, which I say you can do with the medication as well.
Exactly.
And you're sitting in front of a believer of mindset. When I was going through my transplant, or before I had the transplant, being able that I was able to get it, my mind helped me and my body to stay strong. Mm-hmm. And to be able to get through surgery and post, because like you said, if you woe is me, and there are days where you're like, damn, dang, man, I tried to do right.
You're
but
still a human.
All right, here we are. So, mm-hmm. And I told you, my desire, I did not want to leave this place bitter and angry and not have joy and peace. And so every day you live to live. And live well.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And, your mommy did that. It seems like Ananda, her spirit, even in the final days, and from what her sister shared, she was doing okay. She said she walked out of the hospital on Monday. Mm. And they thought, okay, whatever sent her to the hospital, she was able to walk out of that hospital. They went home. They did think they had a little bit more time, maybe months, maybe a year. They did not expect it to be days. But the fact that she walked out and she still had that mentality like, no, I want to see my baby graduate from going into his graduation day. And she did. She made it.
She made it to the
God
day.
bless his soul. She made it to the day. She made it to the day. She passed that afternoon, and his ceremony was that evening. And the family still went. They asked him if he still wanted to go, and he said he did. And they went. And I can just, I felt for that baby.
Yeah, but then imagine, I just immediately was like, imagine who he's going to be when he grows up. I think they say he's like, what is he, 4, 5? Or do I have that wrong?
He's 10. He was graduating going into middle school.
Okay, so he was that age when she got diagnosed, around like 5. But imagine, he watched that whole thing, and so he was very well aware of what was happening and on that day. And so I just feel like his spirit has to be, to have a mom like that. I feel like that's going to impact him. And yes, he's now growing up without a mother. But I just immediately got the feeling like this is a strong kid right here. Like, not even strong, like and not even resilient, but his mind's like, and I don't know this child. Clearly I didn't even know what age he was. But I just immediately, like, the feeling came over me like this. I bet we look up in 10, 15 years and he's somebody, he could be a preacher or something. Like, it's not even that he's gonna have a story to tell. If he could even make the decision to still go in,
which he
and
will,
do the thing that she wanted, she wanted to make it to this day. So it was important for him to show up for this day and all of these. I don't know. It just feels like people are kind of making it seem like, how could she leave her child and not do anything, and so that she left her child. And I'm just like, I don't get that feeling. But I'm also a weirdo, so I do want to say this, you guys. If you haven't heard episode 7, which is called Is There a Brochure for This? That was the episode where P detailed her whole transplant journey and how she found out that she was going to need a transplant, and the years that she went through where her body was deteriorating and she wasn't sure if she was going to get a transplant and all those things. It really, really is a great episode to listen to hear P's story, and where she goes into great detail about her mindset and her faith and her belief, and how it saw her through. I didn't want to leave that, P, because I want the people to hear the things.
That was good.
Because P is that girl when it comes to that. And she has that. Like, you talking to somebody or you listen to somebody who has that experience. So please check that out if you haven't. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
What I do think is, so when Ananda was diagnosed, so her mother had breast cancer, and she went through the radiation, the chemo, she went through all the things, and it didn't work. And she went through them for a very long time, and it still didn't work. So when Ananda was diagnosed, well, that's why Ananda didn't do mammograms for like forever, because she also was like, hey, radiation is harmful, which it is harmful. And mammogram is also not the only test that you have to go through that has radiation, like any of these x-rays and everything. When you go to the dentist, okay, there's x-ray. God forbid you pregnant and you got to go to the dentist and get an x-ray. This has happened to me, and they done sent me out the door because I happened to be pregnant when I needed to go in for dental work, and I couldn't get the x-ray. So radiation is a thing, but you get radiation from everything, including the cell phone that you talk on every day, including the microwave in your house.
Every day.
I'm not saying that it's not Like, if that's your belief, I'm not saying you should change your belief. That's not what I'm saying. But that was Ananda's belief at the time. She didn't want any parts of any kind of radiation, and she thought that might be more harmful than good. And because she saw her mother go through all of that, and she still ended up with the cancer. And I don't recall right now if her mother passed from cancer. I can't recall. She didn't. She didn't.
She's living.
She's still living. Oh, goodness gracious. So, but that was her reasoning as to why she refused to get mammograms. So by the time she was diagnosed, she was stage 2. So when she found out she was stage 2, she started all the holistic things that P just listed, which, just like P said, people do both, right? Ananda wasn't doing both, but there's a world where people do both. One of mommy's best friends had a brother who was battling cancer, and she was like, hey, this vitamin C stuff really, really helped him and his numbers. And so she ordered some stuff called pectin, and which is it's a vitamin C, and it's, I think the easiest way to explain it is it's the skin of the orange. And they chop it up, they make it into a fine powder, but it's literally the skin, not the insides. And then, so a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of things take pectin at high doses. Like I heard you say, P, that Ananda was doing the IV vitamin C, which is where I think IV is what gives you the highest level of vitamin C. For mommy at the time, now keep in mind, this was 2009 to 2013. So this is back then.
Right.
But she was ordering the pectin, and we ordered it on Amazon, girl. So she was taking the pectin. She was taking like some form of, like, I take black seed oil now, but it was some kind of oil. Like, I don't think it was black seed oil, but it was something like that people rant and rave about. So mommy was also taking some like holistic measures as well. So people do both. You don't have to, if you don't care to, you don't have to shun one for the other, right? And a lot of people don't know that chemotherapy also comes in the form of pills. It's basically, it's chemicals that you're putting in your body. It's still going to harm you because it's chemicals, and they'll tell you all the side effects, but you don't have to get chemotherapy in the IV. Or what a lot of people do is they may listen, there's just so many different ways to combat this. But like mommy had chemotherapy in the IV for a certain amount of weeks, let's say 6 weeks, 10 weeks. But then every single day after that, she's taking the pill form. So it's different for everybody. It's just a lot, I think, that people don't know until they really get in it. But the bottom line is you can do the chemical things as well as the holistic things, right? And so the cancer affects everybody differently. Just it's literally like a million different things going on in I remember one time you said, P, in that episode 7, you said every body is different. So I thought about that just now when we were talking about that. But that's the case. You don't know how it's going to affect you. You don't know anything, okay, till it happens. And people say what they will and won't do, but then, like you just talked about, P, then your family and your kids come into mind, and what are you willing to do so that your family has you, right? Or how are you, and this I think was Ananda's way, how are you willing to live in front of them so that they can see who you are when the shit hits the fan, so that they can really see how you deal with your faith and what you really think about living and dying and those things. Because people will talk all day long about this, but until you're actually dying, it really does. Free to have your own opinion. I got my own opinion right now. It's 2 of us sitting here. It's only one of us right now who's actually been in that experience. So at the end of the day, I can't really say my opinion is just my opinion. I don't know what the fuck I would do. You see what I'm saying? And so I defer to people like you that have been through these things. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, there are different ways you can tackle it. And you can take the hybrid approach, which I think actually a lot of people do. They just like, let me just tackle this from all sides, see what God want me to do, how he want me to handle it, whatever. But yeah, it's just, oh, it's so many different ways to go about it. Sorry, I've started this off. I don't went left as I do, Shonda on a tangent. But basically, Ananda was doing her holistic thing, and then she found out it had spread and gone to stage 4. And that's when she was like, okay, maybe I had it wrong about the mammograms. Because once you apparently, like I found out after the fact, but once you hit stage 4, they either will give you a timeline or, you know that this is what I'm going to be battling for the rest of my life. What I can appreciate is then the way that Ananda showed up once she had stage 4, like you said, P. She kind of went on a press tour. She literally went on a press
She
tour
did.
and was like, guys, I had it wrong. This is because she was telling people, hey, this is how you attack this. This is what I'm doing. And the thing about cancer is you be good. And then you wake up one day, it's almost like overnight it'll take on a different form. And she went on a press tour. I think I actually watched her interview with Amanda Seals over COVID about it. And that's when I found out. I had no idea this was going on because she's always was outside. She always was popping out, looking fresh faced as a mug,
Looking the
looking about
same,
30.
looking beautiful.
And she was 50, looking 30.
Mhm.
And always full of life and a joy to be around. And everybody had the same stories about her. Like everybody had the exact same stories about their relationships with her. And so she really did live life that way. And she decided once she got stage 4, all right, now I need to tell the people. Like I was out here telling them when I was all holistic, I need to now tell them where I'm at today. But she still was like, hey, I'm living life. I got stage 4, but I'm living life. You see me? Look at me. This is also what stage 4 looks like. Was what she was saying to people. And so it was shocking when I heard the news, just because you think about the last time I seen her. Like I know what she was talking, I know what she was saying, but I was
Yeah.
sitting here looking at her, and she didn't look like someone who was suffering. So
It just, she was 52 and her son is 14. So he was graduating
oh,
from
he's a
his
yeah.
middle school graduation.
Okay.
Langston, who his father is Will Smith's brother,
What?
Harry. Right.
What?
Harry
I had
Smith.
no idea.
Mhm. Mhm. They kept that low. I mean, sh
Okay.
that wasn't out there until this came out that that's who he was. I think he may have posted a few times and she may have posted, but
Oh
they broke up.
wow.
They were married, but they broke up. But
Okay.
yeah, his dad is Will Smith's brother.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah. But he's 14. And so for that young man to be there for when his mother passed and then
Mhm.
still show up for his graduation because he knew that's what she wanted him to do also. I'm sure she had conversations with him. It's like, no, son, you still live. That's what I want for you to do. I want you to
Mm.
live.
Now, I do want to say I'm quite sure because
Yeah,
when things
it
first
just
happen, it becomes like you're moving on adrenaline and shock too. So I'm sure it is.
Mhm.
It's going to be a whole different story after the funeral. Like once the adrenaline and shock wears off, we talk about this all the time. P, the grief,
Oh yeah.
um, how you made it like through your mom's funeral and you were just chugging along, checking the boxes, getting everything done. And then afterwards it was like, "Oh, wait a minute. My body is
Wait.
actually different. The way that I'm processing this." You know what I mean? And so I
Woo!
get, especially if he's older too than I thought. So I don't know, but the way that she was choosing to live her life and be public, of course I'm sure she wasn't public about everything, but just that's what it's like. Dying can look like that also. I think we have a viewpoint of what dying looks like. Some people some people do die on their own terms, right? Like people that refuse medication or whatever at the end of their life, and because of quality of life, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I just saw a lot of people saying just things like, I wish she had done this, or wish she had done that, or wish. And I just feel like her son can have his opinions on that, right? And whoever was closest to her, but from outside looking in, like I can't speak to how Ananda Lewis should have lived her last days. That's her decision, and it's her intermediate family that has to deal with, and I'm sure has had those conversations with her about the end. And I'm like, okay, so now I have somebody to point to when I'm thinking about people dying. Now I have that just as a rando on the internet. I am a nobody, right? But as a nobody who's watching other people live their lives out in public, I now have someone to point to think when I think about dying and living while dying. I now have another person that I can look to say, oh, it doesn't have to look like this. It could look like this. Once you were already there, like I'm talking about once she was already stage 4 and they probably had already told her all the things and they had a timeline, then it's like, okay, so what does that time look like for you? I feel like her legacy and light and the way that she was a public figure made her now important enough for like a whole generation of people, specifically Black people and specifically Black women, to see like, oh, it don't have to look like what you heard, or it don't have to look like Grey's Anatomy or whatever. It can also look like this, you know?
Grey's Anatomy.
As the first that
she said
came to my brain.
October 2023 is when she was told that it was stage 4. So she's been rocking at stage 4 since October 2023.
Okay.
And she went into treatment and the therapies in the clinic and all the things, which was improving. She was living, like you said, living well for the most part. I want to say she was still posting earlier this year. And then, life, we don't know when it started to turn, but man. But, and I could say cautionary tale, but not in a negative way. But as you're saying, she's an example now to look at some of the choices that she made, which she says she later regretted. But a lot of people are, and I talked about it in episode 7, they're afraid. You're afraid of getting that call or them finding something. Please still understand, every time I go get scammed, every time I go to the Mayo Clinic and I have to do my testing every year to make sure, because I have an autoimmune disease, that's what caused the liver to fail.
Okay.
That didn't go away. So I still have that pit in my stomach when the doctor comes back and giving me the results of all my tests. Because then you have to go into the mindset, and anyone who has dealt with some type of illness and you have come to a stage of recovery and you're like, oh, can I do it again? Do I have the mental fortitude to do it again? Because it takes a lot out of you to physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things. And you do what you have to do to survive, but it's tough. It's tough. And so, yeah, every appointment, I'm like, okay, all right. Okay, God, we're going to deal with what we're going to deal with. But I hope it's good. And so far, praise God, everything has been all right. They tell me to keep doing what I'm doing. So I drink my water. I drink at least a gallon of water. I try to drink a gallon of water a day. Juice, get my vegetables, light exercise or some type of exercise, positive thinking. Like you said, mindset is very important. They say lower your stress.
How, Lord?
That's probably the part that
How,
And when I
Sway?
went to the doctor, she's like, "Yeah, just these are the things that will help to minimize those chances and just lower your stress." Girl, now that's the one piece but that's also a mental that helps me to then find ways, as we've discussed before,
Mm,
how do you stress is here. Stress is part of life. How do you deal with it? In the which and ways you go through it. That is a way that can affect us. We know it affects me physically. And so I have to be conscious of how I'm dealing with the stress and managing it. So all of those things combine, and I just pray to God and I do my best day by day and live
mhm.
while we're here. Live well. And there are moments when I do feel bad, and that's what made me think of I was writing and it made me think of the son. He's 14 and now he's lost his mom.
Yeah.
But like you said, the example that she left in the words and the love, I wonder if he knew who his mom was. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like he probably
Like her
they lived
legacy?
a normal life. Yes. So
Okay, yeah.
all of these positive words and the relationships and the examples of the person that she was, he probably saw it in person like, oh, that's just my mom.
Right.
But I'm hoping that one day he can really see like, yo, my mom was that girl.
Uh-huh.
That girl. People from when she was at Howard, they were like, no, the moment she stepped on campus, she was that girl. And not in a
Mm.
cocky way, but she just knew who she was. I didn't know she was in the Shy video. I didn't realize she was in
Yeah, girl. She
the
was.
yeah, I was
And if
like, wait,
I
there's Ananda.
ever fall. Because all the boys
Yeah.
at that time had a crush on Ananda Lewis now. Let's not
On
get it
campus.
twisted. Well, I'm just mean once she showed up
Yeah.
on TV, the boys was like, she was my crush. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so when Shy put her in the video, it's like, yeah, the people was happy. I remember that, man. That's yeah. Yeah, man.
The members of Shy also were students at Howard University, and they shot the video on Howard's
Yeah.
campus. Mhm, mhm. So a lot of them were students on campus. So she was just that girl, Ananda. But it just
Man.
man, childhood. Our childhood people, legendary.
Yeah, it's going this has been a year, or I don't know, maybe this just happens. Maybe these are just going to be our years as we get older. I don't know, but uh a few other people just passed. The guy from Atlantic Star.
I saw that.
Um Sly from Sly
Wow.
and the Family Stone. Whom else? Cause I was like, wow, this is a few. This is a few all at once again.
And we talked about his documentary, Sly.
Yeah, that cause Questlove did his documentary. So, well, I'm glad that they were able to do that while he was still here. I'm trying to. I should have looked this up beforehand, but I'm like, what's my songs? You know, we like to
We gotta put in that music.
yeah. But
Family
it's a
affair.
family affair. It's a family affair. Uh. Yep.
Let's see.
I want to take you higher. Not life, live, live. No, that's
Girl.
that's that's Casey and JoJo. Disregard. Uh, uh, disregard. Sorry, Life is actually one of my favorite
Everyday
movies.
people.
So, is that like no, that's Arrested Development. But I know it's a
Well,
family.
they,
They sampled it. That's where it came from. I know
Yes.
you know, because you
Yes.
sample queen, honey. Sample queen. P knows all the music history. And I love that for me, because I don't be knowing stuff. And so I like to be educated. I like to learn new things. So I'm pumped. And then Atlantic Star. Wait, I got Atlantic Star
Love
song on
her.
my playlist right now.
Of course you do.
Secret lovers. That's what we are. I don't know the words, but that's my jam. That's that Quiet Storm.
That
Okay, kind
quiet
of
storm.
stuff. And then the song And I dedicate my life to you always. And we
Sing, Shaun.
both know that our love will grow and forever it will be you and me. Where, ooh, you're like the sun, chasing all the pain away. Ooh, that's my song.
Come around, you
You
bring
bring
brighter
brighter
days.
days.
Well, we had
Woo!
to add it to the playlist.
To the list.
To the list.
Ooh,
The
that's good
Everything Has
music.
Changed podcast playlist. All our
Yes,
music
please check the show
masterpiece.
notes.
Thought
Check the show notes if you want to link
you.
to our playlist, which is basically any song that we've ever tried to sing on this show. If we've ever fixed our mouth,
Keyword tried.
if we've ever
tried to
fixed our
sing.
mouth to try to sing a song on this show, it's on the playlist. On the playlist. P, this is episode 25.
25.
25. Girl, I feel
Look
like
at
an old pro at this point.
Look at us. From almost talking ourselves out of it to actually doing it. And here we are, episode 25.
And we
With
really
more
did
to
get it
come.
off the ground quick, too. Like, once we decided, it was like boom, boom, boom.
Move. Make that decision. And go for it. Do it.
And if it flow, that's what was supposed to happen. Like, things will line up in the way that they need to line up for the things that are in alignment for where you are right now. Now, keep in mind, reasons and seasons, ups and downs, that's literally life. So if you got a down, that don't mean you fucking up. That means you're actually living a life. Everything is not going to be sunshine and rainbows. But when it's time for when something is in alignment for where you are at the current moment, it will literally just go. Sometimes it will go without you, and you got to run behind, try to catch up. Be like, hold up, I wasn't ready.
You're like, wait a minute.
So, yeah, man, we are 6 months in. 25 episodes.
Amen.
So,
and planning for more and more goodies coming up in the future. Just hold on.
More goodies, more stories, more just different things. We about to try to put our tentacles in different arenas, whatever makes sense for us, basically. So, but literally this just all started with both of us coming to realization that we wanted to tell our stories. And we both had, I'm in business for myself, so I was really focused on a business podcast. P was focused on a podcast where she could just really just give her story and try to uplift people at the same time. And we had a conversation where we recalled when we was in our 20s talking about doing a show when podcasting, I don't even... If it was a thing, it had just started probably the week before or something. But we had like one conversation. It was like, oh, you know what? Might as well.
Yeah.
And here we are. So
here we are.
do that thing. that's been on your
Do
heart
it.
to do. At least
Write the
try.
book.
At least try. Write the book. Start the podcast. If it's on your heart, just at least try. Because if
Do
it's
it.
supposed to go, it'll go. You know, it look different for everybody, but at least try so you can see. You're not gonna be without fear starting. A lot of people be like, I'm getting all my ducks in a row. You know, I'm getting my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready. You just getting ready to get ready, girl.
That
Cause
was
you're not.
us.
Yes, but I will say this though, that time frame for us to get this off the ground was extremely short because most people be like that for like a couple years, and then they be like, never mind.
It's
Like,
too
oh,
much.
it didn't happen so it means this. It didn't happen because you ain't tried. You just was doing all your research. When the research is not what's going to make a thing go, and it's not what's going to, it's just not going to be the thing. The research is going to make your heart happy, make you feel like you're doing something, but you're not really doing something until you actually push play on something, hit the submit button, something. Just try.
It's you. The
Mm-hmm.
special ingredients is you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's you. And your product, if it's coming from a place of truth and of heart, like I said, I want to be able to help people. It's going to reach who it's supposed to reach in time.
Mm-hmm.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I used to think, oh, one more podcast. There's a billion podcasts out there. There's a billion books. There's a billion artists and musicians and art. It finds who it's supposed to find.
Yeah, and the people really have to understand that every message ain't meant for everybody. So when you start trying to do things and you want it to look like, first of all, you want to come out the box looking like Oprah, that is just perfectionism. You're not going to look like Oprah or be Oprah and honestly, what is Oprah's what? Is 70? Like, then you're comparing yourself to or even if you're comparing yourself to a peer, let's say someone maybe you went to school with the same age as you and they have something going on that you have an idea for, a little different idea about it, but you're like, well, Shaun has this thing going on, so mine has to look like this. You're literally comparing yourself to somebody's like chapter 52 and you're on chapter 1. It's not going to look like that. So then you psych yourself out and say, well, since it don't look like that means it ain't going to be nothing, or I can't put out something that is just not how it works. And it's also not going to be a fully fledged thing before you do the thing. Like, the path does not appear until you start stepping on it. So unfortunately, I'm not saying that make it an easy thing or anything. That's just the way it is. And so the only thing that successful people ahead of you who are successful, the only difference is that they just kept going without seeing the path. They just kept moving in the fear. You have to move in the fear, whatever that looks like for you. And if you're not willing to move in the fear, then you're unwilling to do the thing. Once you're willing to move forward in the fear, then that's the thing that's in alignment for you. Like, I don't care how scary it is. You have to understand that all these people out here doing anything have looked at that fear and been like, all right, I'm still scared, but I'm still finna try. That's
Still
literally the
doing
only
it.
difference. And then after that, you just don't quit. Because again, ups and downs, it's highs and lows. It's going to be lulls. It's going to be ebbs and flows. It's going to be times you don't make money or whatever. And if that causes you to quit, which it does for some people, that's totally fine. That just means that just was not the thing. Your heart, wasn't in that thing enough to sit through that. It is extremely uncomfortable. I remember one day a client was like, is it supposed to be this hard? Yes, it is supposed to be this hard. But when you see people out there and they're successful or they're famous or whatever, so it makes you think like, oh, because they're doing what they want to do, or because they're living a life, or because they're doing what they were sent here to do. Clearly, then if you're doing what you're sent here to do, it's supposed to be easy. Lies. It is not. It is going to challenge you every step of the way. And that's also why that's the thing for your life. Because as you are giving to other people through your work and inspiration or whatever it is that you do, you could be a freaking bank teller But if that's your thing, if that's in alignment for you and your spirit and on your soul path, then you will be affecting people doing that work. And you will also be challenged and stretched, because if you weren't, it wouldn't be worth it to your life. You would not end your life having made any kind of transformation or arc or whatever the case. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe it's all supposed to be easy and shits and giggles. It's not. But it will move if it's for you, but it won't have a chance to move unless you actually act on the thing. So you got to actually try, and you have to understand that everybody is not your audience. That's the main thing. Don't get upset if your friends and family aren't supporting you, because majority of the time they are not in your audience, ma'am. They're not buying your body butters, okay? So you be like, oh, well, this isn't worth it for me. They're not your audience. You do not have a business if you're only selling to your friends and families. You have a business if you are reaching the people that are attached to you. So your work is to say, what am I here to do? What do I genuinely feel like I'm here to do? What am I being called to do? So you can be obedient. And then do that thing, but do it for the people that need that thing. So that's the work. The work is not, that's the work that people miss. And then they get out here and their friends and family don't vibe with it. And then they're like, oh, entrepreneurship, not for me. Speaking, not for me. Hosting, not for me. No, it's actually work. We miss that part.
Yeah. It will reach the people it's supposed to reach.
It will reach the people it's supposed to reach, but you have to do the work for it to reach. You can't, like, we can't just get up here and turn the mic on and talk and then it'll reach the people it's supposed to reach, right? Like, we've been, for like the past 6 months, we getting our feet wet. We ain't even really started our strategy or anything like that. We are getting over the jitters, getting comfortable being seen, getting comfortable being heard, deciding really what's our flow, working together in a partnership, all these different things. And then, but it's will reach a point where, we have to sit down, and I'm using us as an example, this is not even, I'm just using us as an example, but for it to reach the people it's supposed to reach, you better determine who it's supposed to reach. And then you better determine what you need to say to them for them to listen to you. Because then you got to combat all these other, you got to combat the internet, you got to combat psychology, insecurity, all these other things that people are dealing with. So if you just open your mouth and talk, you're doing that part, but there are other pieces to it. And so I just feel like people be like, I turned my mic on, 5 people listened, that means I'm a failure, goodbye. Like, no, you haven't done the work yet. You just showed up. Excellent.
Continue
the only way for you
up.
to keep showing up is if it's really for you. So you got to stay in that flow, but then you got to determine, how you going to reach the other people. But my main thing is just I just see it so often. People start a thing and then like, nobody's supporting me, so I'm trash. You're not trash. You actually haven't tried to reach the people that it's for. Now you got to go find the people that it's for. That's all. I'm going to get off my soapbox.
And in this world of viral, the most random things go viral. And you hear some of these people who do go viral, they've been posting and telling stories and doing things for years. And it's the one thing that they think that won't pop. That's the thing that has popped.
Gotta be consistent.
Keep showing up. And in your lane, your own lane. And it'll do what it's supposed to do.
And then stuff be going viral from like 4 years ago. They not even the same person now. You watching them and you like Doechii, that anxiety song, she recorded that years ago. People just now caught on to it, like at the top of this year. Or that residual song for Chris Brown. He been recorded. That wasn't even out this year, but this is the year it caught on. Just be consistent. Like P said, keep showing up. Don't plan on the virality, because that's not a plan. That's just, it's a luck thing. But then what is luck? It's you got to be prepared when the opportunity presents itself. And a lot of times this viral stuff that happened, P said, it be nothing. Or it could be something from 5 years ago. You ain't even talking about that no more. And that's the thing that go viral. It's crazy. So you can't count on that. You got to show up for you and be consistent. and try to talk to one person.
And it'll reach.
And then just sit in that pocket.
So I'm excited. We are, like you said, we're just getting our feet wet. We're getting it started. We're going to take it to the next level.
25 is crazy.
Future.
It feels crazy.
Here we go. We thank those who've been rocking with us so far. The true folks, we appreciate you. And we look forward to and welcome the people who are to come.
Yes. Where can they find you, P?
You can find me on Instagram at Better3701.
And I'm on Instagram and Threads at Hey Shaun the Head. The podcast is also on Instagram at The Everything Has Changed Podcast. Come check us out.
We thank you and we love you. Stay strong, stay consistent, and go get those mammograms, ladies. And men. Men can get breast cancer as well.
Do what you need to do for y'all.
Do what you need to do. Take care of yourselves. Want to stay locked in with us so you never miss an episode? Visit everythinghaschangedpodcast.com and join our email list. That way you'll be the first to know about new episodes and all the fun stuff we have coming your way. Meet us over there.